Hey everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read when, John Chu?
Right now.
Yes, right now. Hi, my friend.
Hi there. Well, I am not Brad Gustafson, but I'm so excited that I am here in Brad's space where Brad is usually sitting or standing. And I am so excited to talk about books with you today, Jennifer.
Yay! Brad Gustafson is flying around the world somewhere today. I think he might
Yeah.
actually be in Utah, which gave me an excuse to invite my other friend, Mr. Shu, to join us and do a few book talks today. John, do you want to go first or would you like me to?
I would love it if you went first today.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that's such a flip because usually Brad goes, so this is exciting. I get to go first, finally, after all these shows. All right, so the book that I want to share today is one that I picked up because I absolutely fell in love with this particular author's first book, which was Pie in the Sky. Do you remember Pie in the Sky?
Yes, I love Pie in the Sky.
I know, me too. I actually read Pie in the Sky on an airplane, and I just remembered like feeling so attached to those characters and sitting in my little seat in the airplane, wishing I had someone I could talk to about them. And for those of you who have not read that book, it's just a sweet, it's actually an illustrated novel. It's a chapter book with illustrations.
And I read it on a plane as well. So we both read it on planes.
Isn't that funny? That is so crazy. So me too, but I think we're going to get the chance to be on them again pretty soon. And maybe we'll actually get to see one another. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, yeah, because if we were sitting next to each other, we would talk about it.
Nonstop. People would have to ask us to stop talking. But so anytime I see a book by Remy then I have to pick it up, which is why I pre-ordered Pawcasso when it first came out, which is actually a graphic novel as opposed to an illustrated novel, and tells the story of this young girl named Jo who is trapped at home for the summer. And I say trapped because she sort of spends the first part of the summer looking out at the world as opposed to participating in it. There's some things going on at home that make her sad, but also I think she doesn't feel like she has very many friends and just feels disconnected. So she's watching the world rather than participating in it. And then one day this dog comes prancing by with a basket in its mouth. And Jo is intrigued about what's happening. And so she follows the dog to the shopping center where it begins to go shopping for all sorts of items that are listed in the basket. And much to Jo's like surprise and mine too, as a reader, everybody at the shopping center seems to know this dog. And they pull out the note, oh, provide this or that. And Jo goes shopping for the vegetables. And the dog goes shopping for the vegetables and goes to the library and picks up a library book.
I love the library scenes. Keep going, sorry.
No, please jump in, Ever. The book is fantastical and fun and lovely, but what ends up happening is as Jo follows the dog around and starts to talk to it and try to understand what's going on, people start to think that the dog belongs to Jo. And if you ever I know that as a cat owner yourself, when people come to your house and they meet Mr. Lou Grant for the first time, of course they go over and want to talk to Lou Grant. Lou becomes
he doesn't. Nobody meets Lou. Lou, as soon as somebody who Lou does not know enters the house, Lou goes upstairs and either goes under the bed or on top of the bed. So he does not. He doesn't do strangers.
Lots of people around the world have drawn pictures of Lou Grant for you, right?
Yeah. But as soon as Lou is I'm in my office right now, and Lou has been in here all afternoon, rubbing on my leg. But as soon as he knows that Zoom is opened or Google Meets or anything, he leaves. Because I think he thinks I'm talking to somebody is physically in my office.
Yes, and he's not into that, huh?
You're not into that at all.
I love it. my dogs seem to know when I press record on Zoom, because that's when they come up and either want to get my attention or they need to bark or something like that, like they have a honing device. But my point on this is that people connect with you through your pets, right? Like they draw pictures of Lou Grant, and people feel like they know Lou Grant. Like, Lou is becomes a conduit, a connection point between you and other people. And that's what happens for Joe in Pawcasso, where people start to think Joe is Pawcasso's owner, the name that Joe on the fly makes up for the dog when they suddenly become the center of a community art class, which the kids start rebelling against having to paint pears. Instead, they want Go ahead.
Which is in a bookstore, right? That I was thinking of when I said library, I was thinking of the bookstore.
Well, there's yes, you're right. There's the bookstore and there's the art class that goes on there. Go ahead.
But no, I can't remember. I mean, I read it a while ago. Is the art class taking place at a bookstore or a library? I can't remember that detail.
I think, and now somebody's going to correct us on this, but it's been a while since I read it too. And I thought that the art class was actually part of the library, and then the bookstore did the book club.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Getting all these places. There's lots of book related places for Pawcasso and Joe to go to. And that's wonderful. I love it. The space
is so cool. This the bookstore space, art space. I love I want to visit that space. I don't think she modeled it after an actual space, but I want somebody to build that space.
Right. And I also, it's so funny because the other couple things I wanted to say about this book were just that I love that Joe has to figure out whether or not she's going to tell the truth about the fact that she's not really the owner of this dog. But then also like her coming to realize that people might really like her and aren't just being friends with her because of the dog. But then also there's another character who's like the dog washer. And one of the names that the dog is first called before they land on Pawcasso is Poop Roller, because the dog rolls in poop. And that is actually modeled after Remy Lai's real dog. And if you follow Remy Lai on social media, she posts lots of dogs. I mean, pictures of her own dog and videos of her own dog. You can totally see Poop Roller in it. It's wonderful. So I just loved Pawcasso. It was so funny and sweet. Look at these people on the cover. It's so wonderful. Dog. Just so lovely. And I
want to reread it now. I want to reread it, especially since I was messing up a detail. But one of my favorite details in the book is one of the characters is reading the night diary.
Yes. I love when authors give nods to other authors.
Me too. I love Easter eggs.
Yes, and for readers who are familiar with those other books, it feels like, oh my gosh, I know what that is. Like, that's for me. Like you feel like you've discovered something that was just for you, and I love that.
Oh, I'm giving you I'm into rounds of applause. So because I host a show called Book Joy Live, and Jennifer has been on Book Joy Live more than anyone.
You can't escape me. I hold the record. I'm the record holder for Book Joy Live, special guest.
So Jennifer and I did not talk about which books we were going to talk about ahead of time, and it just so happens that I picked a book that has a dog and has a cat. But before I talk about that book with a dog and with a cat, I want to give a shout out to a book that came out a while ago called Big Cat, Little Cat, which won a Caldecott honor. And this is a 2-hanky book. It is so lovely. And it's a wonderful book to read with a child who maybe has just lost a pet or has a pet who is sick, and they know soon that pet may no longer be in their lives. But it's so good and so real and so quiet and soft and genuine. And his latest book reminds me of that book because there is a cat in it as well, but also a dog. And it's called Yes and No. And I'm first, Jennifer, going to show you the case cover. So can you give me a drum roll, please?
I'm going to drum roll. There we go.
Look at this. It's like a map. You can see the neighborhood, their yard, where they live. And I think the best way, Jennifer, is for me to read aloud the first page or two to you.
Please
so we're gonna do a little story time. So here it opens. You see the cat coming in, and you see the dog sleeping. Do I have it straight enough? All right.
Yes.
And this book smells really good as well. And it says, "Good morning. Good morning. It's time to wake up." But as we saw, the cat just came in, but the dog has been sleeping. And it says, my dears, are you awake? And the dog says, yes. And the cat says, did you sleep well? The dog says, oh, yes. The cat says, no, I did not. And so you're already seeing like the delineation of their characters. Are you both excited for the day? The dog says, yes, I am excited. And the cat is like, like, no, I am not getting up out of bed. And you can see the cat is looking over at the dog because the dog takes the cat's blanket.
Oh,
and then
my gosh.
The whole book is back and forth. And as you can predict, the dog almost always says yes, and the cat almost always says no. And one of the things I really love about this book is it brings to life the personality of a cat so well and the personality of a dog so well. Like, as I was saying with Lou Grant earlier, like, no, everything is on his schedule, is on his time. He did not invite you over to our house. Therefore, he is going to hide the entire time you're there. Whereas a dog is like, yes, yes, yes. A dog often, you know, is all about paying attention. So you get to spend the day with this dog and this cat. And I think one of the best ways to really summarize the story is by reading a postcard that came with a copy that I received. And it says, dear friend, this book is about a puppy and a cat and their day together with a surprise at the end. It's also, I hope, about something more. Family, love, exploring, coming home, the balance within a family, and the longing we all feel, especially now, for a sense of peace. And did I mention the puppy? He's pretty cute too. But this is a book you can give to dog lovers, you can give to cat lovers. It's a book that will make you smile. It's a book that I think will make your heart grow just a little bit. And I cannot say enough good things about yes and no.
Okay, so 2 questions.
Yes.
First is it out now or is
Yes, it came out, I believe, in April.
Okay, awesome. And then the second question is, are there any hankies required for this book?
Yeah. No, I know, no hankies.
Okay.
This one's 2 hankies. Well, for some people, maybe more or less, but this one, no. There's nothing, in my opinion, sad that happens in it. And I like that the cat, No Fuzzball, is like looking over me the entire time as well.
Judging
we have a cat
you.
theme here.
I love it.
So Jennifer, I'll have to send you a copy of this book.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm going to give you. So Jennifer's heart needs one. So I'm going to.
I do. Jennifer's heart needs a copy of that book for sure. Actually, my dog that you can't see right now, when John started to read, came over and started rubbing around my legs as though she was a cat. Like, I felt like she was channeling the story in some way, taking on both roles. It was awesome. I love it.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love we have a dog cat pairing for today's episode, and we didn't even know it.
I know. Well, that's the thing about this show. Brad and I never plan it, and I knew that you would be ready on the fly to book talk a book.
Well, I actually, Jennifer, I had a really hard time because there were so many books I wanted to talk about. And I know since you don't have rules, I was like, well, maybe I want to talk about watercress, which is beautiful. Maybe I want to talk about wishes, which is beautiful, which I know you've talked about, or this book right here by Deborah Friedman. Oh, all the books just fell. Is was. So
I haven't read that one, but that looks gorgeous.
Yeah, these are all gorgeous. But we'll save those. We'll save those for another time. And I love that all the books fell.
That's okay. That's all right. That's the precarious situation that they're in. And you know,
but interesting though, look, the one book that stayed, Jennifer, is a book by you.
That is some fine product placement there, my friend. That is some fine planning. I love it. That makes me so happy. You are the best. Thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you.
Before we sign off, I have to let our 3.5 viewers, which I'm sure has doubled since Mr. Shu is here. I'm guessing we're up to at least 7. this week in particular, that if they would like to watch any of our previous shows or check out the archive where we have listed all of our recommendations for the past 3 years. John, can you believe that Read This Now has been on for 3 years?
Yeah, no, I cannot. And I love,
That's
it's been
crazy.
in so many different places too. I remember watching it every week on Facebook, and then you went over to YouTube. I've always checked your Google. And one thing I want to say, I love that you put all of the titles into a Google form, I believe it is, because I love looking in and seeing, the balance and the variety of books that you talk about as well.
Well, it helps us make sure that we're not over focusing on any particular age reader. I mean, we read what we read because we are readers who are drawn to certain books, but we also recognize that people who watch our show might teach or work with readers of varying ages. So we want to make sure that we have titles for everyone. So it helps us keep track of that. And also make sure that we don't duplicate in so much as I might forget, did I actually book talk this on Read This Now, etc. But
well, that's how I knew. That's how I knew that you'd already given love to Wishes. So thank you.
But you can't give too much love to that book.
No,
you really can't. So for that particular resource, that archive is at bit.ly/read_this_now. And next week I will be back with Brad. But until then, thank you, Mr. Shim.
Oh, thank you. Have a good day,
and happy
everyone.
reading, everyone.
Happy reading.